today's a really special day. You realize the largest Easter egg ever produced was the size of an elephant. Over 15,000 pounds, over 15,000 pounds. Size of an elephant with a boatload of calories. 78% of Americans say they eat the ears first of the Easter bunny. Is that you? Yes. Yeah. The largest, the most expensive Easter egg. $49,000 for the most expensive chocolate bunny and over 548,000 calories. That'll make a month's worth of carrot cake right there. And one more little fact, 81% of Americans will celebrate Easter. Wow. Most of the United States will celebrate. On Good Friday, Jesus died, hung up on that cross, tortured, the whole deal. And then 3 days later, on Easter, he brought himself back to life. Wild story. You know, just think about that. Guy dead, comes back to life. A year ago, I buried my dad. And my dad was probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. Had all kinds of problems, but he was a mechanical engineer. And anytime I needed help with anything, I could call him and say, hey, Dad, how do you fix this? Hey, Dad, how do you fix this? There was never a time where he did not have some realistic, helpful answer, advice for me. It was amazing. His just brain worked that way. He just could build stuff, the whole thing. It's weird, but he's been gone now. And there's times when I will hear his voice in my head. There are times when I'm actually dreaming about what would my dad, you know, and I'm hearing him. It's a bit like Easter. Except the Easter story promises that those we've lost will be restored, and you don't wake up. You're not in a dream. It's the real thing. You may doubt Easter. You may doubt the idea that somebody can bring themselves back to life. But one thing I've learned about people is that every one of us wish it was real, would like it to be real. Would have this sense that, man, wouldn't it be cool if Easter there really was life after death? And there's a longing for it in our hearts. Let me read to you the Easter story from the historians. After the Sabbath at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake from an angel of the Lord. For an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone, and he sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were as white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that he shook and became like dead men. No kidding. Mary's showing up at the tomb looking for a dead guy to anoint and finish the burial process, and there's this angel, and he's shining bright, and the stone's rolled away, and he's just sitting there just chilling. And the angel said to the woman, do not be afraid, for I know you're looking for Jesus who was crucified 3 days ago. And here's this famous line. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see. We're going to dive into that a little bit this morning, this Easter story. Come and see. And that's my ask for you. Open your heart a little bit. Maybe you're here, you're brought here because somebody said, oh, we're going to church on Easter, get dressed, let's go. Okay, great. But you're here, but maybe open your heart a little bit and come and see. See if there's something here for you. We have a lady in our church, and she came and saw, and I want you to hear a part of her story.
I grew up learning about God, but there was a lot of things that I didn't really understand about Christianity because we grew up going to Spanish churches. So there was that language barrier for me, and my relationship with God was I had to follow all of these rules instead of actually having that intimate relationship. And I think that is what led me to have a natural rebellious spirit. Well, if you're going to tell me to do something, I'm going to do the complete opposite of that. One of the biggest struggles from coming from an immigrant family was when my parents got in a situation with a bad lawyer as they were trying to get their citizenship, and they failed their case, so they were going to get deported. And so my parents had two options: to bring me and my brother with them, or for us to stay with an aunt. And they decided to keep us here because the whole reason that they came for our livelihood here in the States. It devastated my life. It devastated what I thought about who God was and why was this happening to us. And knowing that my mom was someone who was such a believer, and seeing that this happened to her, I think it pushed me away from God. Like, well, God can't be real, because why would he do this to somebody that believes in him? And I started to surround myself with people who were just as broken as I was, because broken people attract other broken people. And that's what I think further perpetuated my depression, because it's what started to lead me down into doing drugs and fighting alcohol and partying, because that's what everybody else that I knew that was broken was doing. As you can imagine, my aunt who I was living with and my parents who were in Guatemala at this point didn't know like what to do with me, because I was getting myself involved in things that they didn't even have any idea until they obviously became aware of this. So they sent me to go to Guatemala to be with my parents as soon as I turned 18 over the summer in June. But I thought, I was just gonna go there for a little bit and come back to the United States and start, my early adulthood, but it actually ended up being a one-way ticket that I didn't know. Looking back at this point of what I think God was trying to do in my life, I believe that He was trying to show me that I was still loved. Because I feel like during that time in my life, everybody told me I was a bad person. I was gonna mess up my life. I was doing drugs. I heard things from people saying like, she's just gonna end up pregnant on the streets, homeless. That is how people viewed me, and I think that's how I viewed myself. And by miracle, I had a friend who sent me a message. He would help me out, and I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And about 3 months later, he sent me a message that, hey, I bought your ticket, like you can come back. So I think that was God's way of telling me that He still loved me and showed me a way out. Because at that point, I could come back to the States and still continue down a bad path, or I could take this as an opportunity to really turn my life around. And I did come back to the States, and it was good, and I got a job and everything was great, but I still felt like I was trying to find purpose and meaning in my life, and what led me into the New Age. It started off very small with manifestation practices, which turned into new moon rituals and full moon rituals, which next thing you know, opened me up to a door of occultism and tarot cards and oracle cards. And this was completely all the things that I was raised that I shouldn't do, but it was just packaged to me in this pretty package that this is gonna help solve all your problems and help find your purpose. If I continued to do these things, then I would create and manifest the life of my dreams. And next thing you know, my dreams started to become all about money and materialism things, which wasn't ever my original plan. It's just what I kept hearing should be the end outcome of everything. But it always felt like Jesus was there, and Jesus had never left, but I think I was pushing Him out. Like intuitively, I knew that I shouldn't be participating in any of these things. So it felt like a whisper that Jesus was just always there, just waiting for me. And I think when I hit my biggest breakdown was when I just realized none of this stuff is working. Like, why am I still miserable? Like, why is my marriage at the point that we were talking about divorce? Why am I not close to my family? I'm pushing everybody away. And I just one day said, I can't do this anymore. I can't be a part of this. And it was thanks to somebody's testimony who was really involved deep in the New Age that she was changing her life and turning to Jesus, and she was letting all of her following know. And for me, that was like the permission slip that like, I'm not crazy. Like, this is not working out for me either. And like, Jesus has also been whispering and talking to me that He was there waiting for me. And that is finally when I said, okay, it's time to leave all of this. Once I got to the point that I knew I was ready to follow Jesus again, I knew that like I was ready to go back to church. And I asked my husband one day, like, I hope you don't think I'm crazy, but can we go back to church? And he was just like, sure, like, let's do it. And I was looking for a church, and I had seen all the signs about, like, this is your sign if you're looking for a church. So I went online and I, like, searched Church on the Ridge, and I saw that it had good reviews. So that with the sign, I was like, okay, this is the church that I want to go to. And I've been super grateful because they have just been so welcoming and so kind. And they have these pathway classes that you can take when you're somebody who is new or re-entering the journey, and taking that first class and making friends through that is what made me be able to declare in that class and have a prayer with Pastor Kevin and saying that I do believe in Jesus, and I believe that Jesus is the Son of God who died on the cross for my sins and for the sins of others. I have my purpose through Jesus.
Dre came and saw, and she encountered this Jesus who supposedly came back to life and started something new in her. And you know, if that's true, I kind of go, I like that. I want that. The Bible actually tells us it's possible. This book that we believe around here and we teach around here and we accept and we go, hey, if this stuff is real. In fact, in this book, in the book of Revelation, it's an eschatological book. It talks about things that are going to happen, end times kind of stuff. And it has this little verse way towards the end. It says, the one who is seated on the throne, he who is seated on the throne said, I'm making everything new. Wow. You know, two things about that sentence that stands out to me. One, who is the he that they're referring to? Who is the he? Anybody go to Sunday school? What was the answer always in Sunday school? Jesus. Okay, you get way to go. Sunday school students, you're absolutely right. The answer is Jesus. He is the he that they're talking about. The second thing is he really making everything new? Is he really making, you know, and if he is, either one, it's taken a long time or he's doing a lousy job. Because all you got to do is turn on the news or listen to the politics or look at our world and say, hey, what's up with the abuse and the marginalization and the injustice and global warming, climate change, all the things that are happening. All right, how about making something new, Jesus? How about you know, answering this verse? But a couple things there. Go to the next slide. Two things that stand out to me is seated on the throne and making. Seated on the throne and making. This Jesus who supposedly came back to life, making all things new, seated on the throne. Wherever Jesus is on the throne, he is king. And wherever he's king, he is making things new. One day, eschatologically, one day in the future, everything will be under his rule. Everything will be under his authority. Today, it's people like Dre who have said, Jesus, come into my heart. She prayed that prayer that you learned in Sunday school. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done in me. Set up the throne in my life. And Jesus comes in, sets up his kingdom in Dre's life, and he begins to make things new. The second word there is making. It doesn't say made. When you give your life to Christ, when you invite him in and say, Jesus, be on the throne, it doesn't all of a sudden wave his magic wand and bink, hey, look, I've never cussed again. I've never said a bad, unkind word to my kids or my wife. No. He's in the process of making things new, and he's making things new in Dre. Dre was in the last service. She's sitting right over there. I said, hey, Dre, are you perfect today? She's like, no. She would say, I'm not perfect. And a lot of people get hung up. Some of you are in church today for the first time in a long time. You're like, I don't go to church because of all those hypocrites. They say that Jesus, is all that. Well, here's the answer to it. We're not made, we're making. Anybody ever had their house remodeled? A bathroom, a kitchen, all right, you know the feeling, right? You go, oh, cool. This is going to be amazing. You're going to come in, and you see the blueprints, and you see the palettes, and you get the colors, and all the stuff's going to be great. And they say, this is going to be done in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks come and go, and you're like, what is going on? And it's a bit like Jesus is the contractor, and you go to the contractor, your guy fixing your house, going, hey, what's the deal? You said 2 weeks. He goes, well, remember you wanted to use the kitchen for your kid's birthday party, and our guys had to go to another job, and that put us behind. And so, hey, if you seriously give us your kitchen for 2 weeks, we could get it done. But if you keep coming in and messing up the floors and taking stuff, and, it's going to take a little longer. And Jesus is like, hey, if you let me take control of your life, but we're a bit like that person. Hey, Jesus, I want you to be in control, but not over here. It's okay, it's going to take a little longer then. But you know what? We've seen the end result. We've seen the picture of what our life can be. And Dre is not who she used to be. Man, he's working on her. And praise God, she's not who she's going to be. And God's working on her. And it's true for everyone. And she prayed that prayer, Jesus, come into my life. Let your will be done in me. She started it out. And her life may be an extreme. Some of you guys, I can't relate to that. Some of you are going, that's nothing. That's an easy life compared to what I had to grow up with. Some of you grew up in beautiful homes. Your parents were perfect. And some of you are in between all that. But I know this about you. Every one of you had dreams that didn't come through for you. Every one of you had hopes that were unrealized. Every one of you have had promises that were broken to you. And through those disappointments, through those things that have gone in your home, where have you turned? We all respond differently to missed opportunities and lost hope and loneliness. And maybe Dre rebelled, all right, I'm not going to make Jesus he's not going to sit on the throne of my life. I'm going to make him Lord. I'm not going to listen to my parents. I'm going to rebel against, all the rules. And we had a psychologist here teaching a couple weeks ago, and they talked about requirement opposition. She even mentioned it. You tell me something to do, and I'm just saying no, just because you told me to do it. Some people do that with the Bible. The Bible says that, but I'm just not going to do it because the Bible says so. I'm not going to do what God says. I did that in my own life. I rebelled against my parents, rebelled against God, just because it was, the way to do things. But here's the thing. She rebelled, but she was still longing for something, still looking for something in her life, and she tried to fill it with drugs and alcohol and relationships, new age, and all those things didn't meet the longing. Let me ask you, what's your go-to when your dreams are not realized? When your marriage is not going the way you hoped it would? When your kids are not acting the way you... Come on! When the job is not producing, what is your go-to? What's your outlet? Is it drugs? Is it shopping? Is it working harder? Is it just carrying the stress, waking up in the middle of the night and just having it run around in your head, worrying? Is it anger at other people? You just kind of lash out because, you're just so out there. We all have our outlets. Dre came to the point where she said, I'm tired, I'm done. And here's what's cool. She felt Jesus there all along. That's probably why you're here today. You felt Jesus in your life all along. There's something in you that said, I want it to be real. I want the resurrection to be true. And if Jesus can make things new, I want that for me. It's really great news. There's a line in the Easter message. And we're going to talk about it, 3 things, and then Pastor Kay is going to come up and we're going to take communion together. But there's a line in the Easter verse. This is known as the Easter verse. He is not here. He is risen, just as he said. Come and see. We're going to break that down for us this morning. Let's start with the first part. He is not here. He is not here. Back to the Sunday school question. Who's the he? Right. Mary Magdalene is coming and searching for Jesus. She's going to take care of his dead body. And she finds out she's looking in the wrong place. Dre was looking for life, for purpose, for meaning, and she found out she was looking in the wrong place. Every one of you have had this thought, what am I doing here? Maybe you're doing that right now. What am I doing here in church? What am I doing here? You ever taken a class in college? You get there the first day, you really were excited about it. You get there and you go, oh, good night. What am I doing in this class? Either it's way over your head. That was usually for me. Like, I don't get this stuff. What am I doing here? What am I doing in this marriage? What am I doing with him? What am I doing at this party? Grandma would not approve of this place where I'm in right now. What am I doing here? What am I doing in this job? I'm not finding it. I'm not finding what I'm hoping for. The answer may be that Jesus is not there. That's not where you're going to find your purpose. That's not where you're going to find meaning in life, because he is not there. One of the angels that was there at the Easter said this, why are you looking for the living among the dead? So much of the time we're looking for life and we're looking for it in dead places. Places that never produce life. They produce a little lip, they produce a little something in us, but in the end, it's just not there. I know what you're looking for. Everyone in this room, myself included, we're looking for, why was I born? Well, what's the meaning of life? Well, there's got to be something more than to work a little bit and get another vacation. There's got to be something more than just to leave it all to my kids. There's got to be something more than to this existence. What am I here for? What's my purpose in life? I have a Samsung phone. It's an Android, much to my kids' chagrin, because they use Apple. And it's really frustrating because we try to do the family text kind of thing, and then it gets all jacked up, and I can't get their stuff, and they're saying, Dad, you're the old man, and why can't you get a real phone? So I'm not using that fancy junk that you guys use, just give me some. But when I can't make this thing work, right, I don't go into the Apple store and go, hey guys, can you tell me how this is supposed to work? The Apple people go, get out of here, you old man, with that stupid phone. What are you doing? Right? No, I take it back to Samsung. I go, hey guys. And they go, oh, here's the purpose for this thing. Why is it if we didn't create ourselves, we're taking our life to the wrong place? Going, what's my purpose? Take it back to the one who created you. We're all looking for that purpose. The first time I was in Cambodia, don't show that slide just yet, I'll let you know. When the first time I was in Cambodia, it was many years ago. I think close to 25 years ago, something like that. And Cambodia was still in the dark ages. The Khmer Rouge were still in power up in the north. The war was still going on. And I was living in Texas, and I was an associate pastor, and up and coming. I was in my 30s, and very excited about life, and I'm going to take on the world, and God's going to show me what I can do, and I'm going to do great things for God. And I get a call from one of the very first missionaries in Cambodia when it was safe to go in. He says, hey, we want you to come here and preach to the nation of Cambodia. We want you to talk to the people of Cambodia. They're discouraged, they're depressed, they're downtrodden, and you're the guy who can come and speak to the masses. And he talked like that. And I'm going, ooh, I'm going to go and speak to the nation of Cambodia. I'm going to preach to the masses. This is going to be, God has finally seen me and knows what I'm going to be doing in life. So I fly all the way around the world. It was literally around the world. You take a map from Fort Worth, Texas, and put it in Phnom Penh, and they're just like this on a globe. And so 22 hours on this airplane in coach. 8 hours in Taipei on this ridiculous layover. I finally get to Cambodia, and it is dirty and dusty, but man, they're getting the stadium ready now. I can just tell. The camera crews are going to be there. National television is going to be there. I'm sure I'll be on radio because I'm going to speak to the nation of Cambodia. And so the missionary says, hey, look, I can't go with you this Sunday. I got something else I got to do, but I'll put you in this tuk-tuk, and I'll tell the driver where to drop you off, and there'll be a man waiting there for you. I'm like, you're not going to be there while I'm speaking to the nation? What's the deal? But okay, whatever. So I get in this tuk-tuk. A tuk-tuk is just a basket, a trailer with a motorcycle attached to the front. It's really, it's not much of anything. But I'm in this tuk-tuk. We're going down this dirt road, and he drops me off, and we're on a dirt road, and I'm like, what in the world? And sure enough, a little Cambodian is there, and he says, "Oh, you must be," because I'm the only white guy in the nation at this point. And he's walking me through this dirt road, and we get to this place where we're walking on planks. It looks like this. I'm looking for the stadium. I'm looking for the masses. I'm looking for the people. We got to go over these plains, muddy water, and walk in the back there, and I get to this place where I got to climb up this ladder, and the room is not even as big as this. It's like there's about 20 people in the room. But where are the masses? Where's the nation of Cambodia? This is my purpose. This is what I'm here. This is what I was created for. God, I flew 22 hours. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. There was a smell. A foul odor. And I'm in this room, and the people, and I finally turned to the guy and said, "What's the deal with the smell?" Because it was just like, he's, it's the only place we could buy to build a little church here, and it's over the cesspool. It's over the sewage dump. It's the raw sewage running through here. And the church didn't have any glass in the windows, and the air conditioning didn't work because there wasn't one, and there was actually no electricity in this building. And it's about 138 degrees inside the room and 10,000% humidity, and it's just awful. And then the smell. And I'm starting to grouse at God. This is not what I hoped for. This is not what I pictured. This is not what I dreamed for my purpose. I flew 22 hours in coach for 20 people. And the Spirit of God speaks to me, this Jesus that's alive. Says, Charlie, and you know, he reminded me of Good Friday. He says, Charlie, you never have Easter unless you have the cross. 2,000 years ago, they were looking for me on a throne, looking for me, and they found me on a cross. Charlie, you want your purpose revealed. Who's on the throne of your life? Well, you are. So are you doing this for you, or are you doing it for me? Ouch. As I walked in that room, there was a little lady sitting in the front, and she began to cry. Like, why is she crying? Because she's been praying for years for her nation. The war, communism, the Khmer Rouge, everybody promised life. Everybody promised a better future. Everybody promised hope. And she's been calling out to the God of the universe. Is there somebody that can really bring it? And you came all this way from America to tell her about this Jesus who's alive. I got messed up. I had to repent. I had to tell God that I was sorry, that God, you're really the king. And I left that day and went, God, I want my purpose to always be your purpose, not mine. You're on the throne of my life. Fast forward about 5 years from that day. Sandy and I flew here to Snoqualmie, Washington. Back then when we flew here, they said, hey, we want you to come start a church in Snoqualmie. I didn't even know where Snoqualmie was. I knew Phnom Penh better than I knew Snoqualmie. I didn't know where it was. And we get here, and there's only 700 homes in the development. The city was going bankrupt. If Weyerhaeuser hadn't bailed them out, the city was going to be bankrupt. And I'm looking at this place, I go, this is a little podunk nothing. There's Indians living right over here. And there's wagon trains coming through still. No, I'm not coming to Snoqualmie. No way. And my wife looks at me and says, what did God say? Don't you hate it when they do that? And God reminded me of that little lady. He said, are you going to be obedient to me, fulfill my purpose? Who's on the throne of your life? There's people I want to reach and change. The reason I tell you that story, because 20 years ago, my wife and I looked like this. I'm kidding. That was actually 40 years ago, but the years have not been kind to us. Oh, just me, thank you. She's working in the 3-year-olds this morning. Don't tell her I said that. Why did I say that? Why am I telling you this story? I've given up. And not given up. I've let go of and changed. God, I don't care if I ever preach to the masses. I don't care. There are people here in Snoqualmie, this valley, this region, that need to hear the love of God. And if I can do it in some small way, thank you, Jesus. What about you? What are you searching for? What are you longing for? Are you looking in the wrong place because he may not be there? Till you invite him in your heart and say, hey, there's somebody there. He is not here. The second line goes, he is risen. He is risen. And this is where we get messed up. Because people can go, yeah, I kind of like this Jesus guy. He was really cool, good teacher, did a lot of nice things, taught us love. But really, God, I don't think so. C.S. Lewis, the writer of the Narnia Chronicles, wrote many other books, but he said, you can't put Jesus in that category. You can't put him in the category of just a nice guy, a good teacher. He said, nobody can stand up and say, hey, I'm God. I'm the Messiah. I'm going to die. I'm going to bring myself back to life 3 days later. And you go, no, you can't. You're going to call him a liar, right? He's a charlatan. All he's doing is trying to bilk everybody's money. I'm the Messiah. Give me your money and the whole thing. But that doesn't wash because he died penniless. So that didn't work very well. Or he's just a loony bin, right? He's just, one's got this Messiah complex. He's a lunatic, and he's, oh, hey, I'm the Messiah, right? But his writings have been changing the world for 2,000 years. His sayings, like, okay, he was actually brilliant. Well, that only leaves one option. He's actually Lord, the one who sits on the throne. That's hard for us to swallow, though. It's hard for us to go, I don't know. He came to give us purpose, but not only just purpose in this life, but actually purpose in the life after this life. Resurrection. He is risen, life after death. John 14 says, because he lives, you and I can live also. There really is something in this eschatological formula that we're looking at. And could it be this Jesus guy? How many of you have ever heard of AI? It's kind of a thing right now, right? In fact, it's such a thing. It has more potential for more impact than personal computers, than the internet, than cell phones. It's wild how this thing's going. It's amazing. This is, your life right now is being controlled at some level by AI, whether you know it or not. AI. It's crazy. How many of you are familiar with stem cells? In the medical world, that is the thing. The cure for cancer is probably going to be found through stem cell research. It's wild. Stem cells are not real cells yet. They're embryonic cells, and I don't know a thing about them, but they're embryonic cells that have not been coded yet by DNA to tell them what kind of cell they're going to be. They're the pre-cell. Oh, you're going to be a heart cell. You're going to be a spinal cord cell. You're going to be a leg cell, whatever. And I don't know. I was down in Southern California about 3 weeks ago with about 20 pastors, and we're meeting together to talk about how to reach the next generation. And I'm the oldest guy there, but I'm there because I don't want to be obsolete like my picture, Like, man, I'm getting old, so how do we reach the next generation? So we're with these guys, and I met a guy named Sam Perley. Sam Perley is this guy right here, and he's a pastor in San Francisco area. But not only is he introduces himself as a pastor, and somebody else goes, hey, you got to know this Sam guy. Let me read you his bio. I'm a postdoctoral fellow with Professor Shinya Yamanaka at Gladstone Institute at the University of San Francisco, California, on developing computational and molecular tools for dissecting and engineering biology, as well as developing next-generation applications for pluripotent stem cells. I have previously worked with Professor Timothy Liu at MIT, where I obtained my PhD. Prior to that, I earned a Master of Science in Computer Science from MIT with Professor Diana Kadapi as a President Fellow. I finished my Bachelor of Electrical Engineering at ITT Madras and was awarded the Institute Medal for the best academic record in the department. I enjoy playing guitar, outdoors cooking, and I also teach. Phew. Okay, this guy's smart. So he's there with a bunch of pastors. He's a pastor, but he's also this. This is what he does for his real job. And he says, hey, a lot of these scientists that I'm working with, let me show you some of his writings. This is some of his publications. Critical roles of translation initiation and RNA uridylation in endogenous retroviral expression of neural differentiation in human pluripotent stem cells. And he goes on, yeah, and he goes on, keep going. Oh, praise the Lord, this guy's smart. He's got some patents out. He's got 4 or 5 patents out to his name. And he looks at me and he says, Charlie, have you ever heard of Bayes' theorem? So we're going, how do we reach people in Microsoft land, Amazon, Google? We got I don't know what the right word is today. We used to call you nerds. Is it geeks, or is that still 20 years? I don't know what the new word is, but we got a lot of nerds and geeks that are part of our valley here, and you're in the room. And have you ever heard of Bayes' theorem? And I go, and what do? Do you like say no and just feel like you're dumbest guy in the room, as I'm the old guy, right? And everyone's like, hey, Bayes' theorem. Or do you lie and go, oh yeah, Bayes' theorem, yeah, that's a good one, right? So that's he played third base for the Yankees, right? And what do you do? So I'm sitting there kind of, so I go home and I chat GPT it, because I learned that you can do this. And so go to the next line. Explain Bayes' theorem. I can't even type, right? Explain Bayes' theorem in a simple way that shows its influence or spell in AI. Copilot takes over. Executing tasks, explain Bayes' theorem, fixes the spelling. All right, next slide. Certainly. Let's break down Bayes' theorem in a straightforward manner, explore its impact on our... I said simple! What is Bayes' theorem? Oh, Bayes' theorem is a fundamental concept of probability theory and statistics. It helps us update our beliefs or predictions based on new evidence or data. Keep going. The basic events of A and B. Suppose we have two events. A, the occurrence of a specific condition. For example, a person has a disease. B, the evidence related to the condition. A, positive test result. And then it gets really good, the formula. Oh my goodness, I'm lost. If the probability of A has given evidence for A and B, then the probability of B and A times B times A. Go to the next slide because it doesn't get any better. And okay. So we got simple, all right. And Bayesian networks, model dependencies, plays a crucial role in AI. And this is where he was going. It plays a crucial role in AI. This guy's a molecular scientist and a computer programmer. Probabilistic reasoning, go ahead, keep going. Naive, Bayes, classifier, whatever, keep going. And summary. Thank you, Jesus, for summaries. Bayes' theorem provides a principal way to update our beliefs using the evidence available. It's foundational in AI. Enabling probabilistic reasoning, decision-making, and learning from data. Remember, whether we're predicting diseases, optimizing algorithms, or understanding uncertainty, Bayes' theorem guides us in making informed decisions. It is foundational in AI. Everything that we're doing today has computers attached to it. Your cell phone is based on Bayes' theorem. I went, whoa, this is big stuff. So then he goes, do you know who Bayes is? I don't. He goes, oh, well, you need to look him up. So I did. He says, go to Yale's website. I didn't even know Yale. I've never been on Yale's website, right? It's the university back east, right? Okay. So going Yale's website, James Choi, professor of finance. Now, this guy's a molecular biologist. He hangs with Shinya Yamataka, who is the guy who has the Nobel laureate in discovering how to program stem cells, embryonic DNA, into all those different things. This is the guy. So these guys are buddies. So I go here and I'm going, professor of finance. I got two scientists, a computer geek, and now this professor of finance. Bayes' theorem began as a defense of Christianity. Wow. So Bayes was a Christian back in the 1700s. Hume, the philosopher, David Hume, the philosopher, said empiricism is the only thing that works. His work is still viable today. And he says empiricism is the only thing that works. If you can't taste it, touch it, smell it, it's not real. And miracles are defunct. And so that means the resurrection, he is risen, is a bunch of BS. And so let's move on with life and just do things that we can smell, taste, touch, put in a test tube, etc. So yeah, that's Bayes' theorem right there. It's Pastor Lawrence Bayes developed this theory. If you take one piece of evidence, add another unrelated piece of evidence, add another unrelated piece of evidence, and keep this thing going, you come up with what's true. Let me read you this last line. The basic probabilistic point was that Hume underestimated the impact of there being a number of independent witnesses to a miracle, and that Bayes' results showed how the multiplication of even fallible evidence, I don't know if that's true, is the Bible really written true, is that stuff really true, could overwhelm the great improbability of an event and establish it as fact. And he proved the resurrection with his theorem. And today, that theorem is used in your cell phone, in your computer, in your ChatGPT, in your Copilot, in your DALL-E 3.0. Is it DALL-E? Is that how you say that? I don't know. Because of this pastor. Here's the deal. If he is risen, he offers life, he offers purpose, and he offers purpose after life. Hope, meaning, grace, forgiveness. It's one theory that maybe if you're a skeptic here today, and there's probably many of you, I encourage you to look into. The most pivotal event, as Pastor Kevin said, in all of history. You can't deny that reality. A and D, that history was divided in half because of this resurrection. There would be no Christmas if there wasn't an Easter. It's more important than Christmas. I like this. Pastor Kevin sent this to me. Caesar is now a salad dressing. Jesus is still a king. Is it really a 2,000, is Easter really a 2,000-year-old conspiracy? Is it really this thing that has kept people from? No other theory has had the impact as the resurrection. Let me close with this. Pastor Kay, come on up. Team, come on up. Come and see. Come and see. He is not here, he is risen, just as he said. Come and see. Easter promises you life like never before. Easter promises you the unthinkable, that you can actually change. Your marriage can be transformed. Your home can become one of struggle and fight and discouragement to life and hope. If it's real, there's nothing like it. And you may not be ready to jump into the deep end, but I invite you to come back, to come and see like Dre did. See if this thing is legit or we're just a bunch of weird hypocrites who trying to bilk old ladies out of their money. Find out if life can really have purpose for you. You can be restored. You know, you want more information or some of my bibliography that I'm looking at, here's a couple of books. You can just take a picture of them if you want to this morning. Just grab your phone, just grab a picture. The one on the Case for Christ is an older book. The one on the other side is brand new. And encourage you. Drop it on your connection card on your way out. Just put it in the box on your way out and say, hey, send me your bibliography. I want to know more. But I hope you would come and see. Check it out. It's too important just to happen once a year for you.